Hello YouTube, it's Carlos the Rook, and I'm bringing you round 2 from Chess Zone Summer Classic that I played this weekend. It was a 2-day tournament, Saturday and Sunday. And in round 2, I had a rematch with Chandler Holt. I played him in the May Classic, or the May Action, whichever one it was. And so we matched up again. I got the black pieces, he has the white pieces. He's rated 1580, and I'm 1658. So he starts off e4, c5, Sicilian defense, knight f3, I go with the d6, c3, delayed Alapin. So I hit knight f6, hitting the e4 pawn, bishop d3 protects the pawn, and here I broke away from my prep and played something different, so I won't reveal my prep here in case it's open to come up again, but I played knight c6. Let's back up and see what the computer think. Knight c6 was the second best move in the position, so knight c6, h3 to stop bishop g4, e6. The engine definitely didn't like e6. It wanted e5, just clamping on that square and stopping any future d4s. Okay, and the reason I didn't go with e5 because I didn't want my e6 square to get weak or my d5 square to get weak. So I was saving it for an e6 d5 thrust eventually. e6, castles. I go bishop e7, developing my pieces. I learned from the first game, develop pieces before we go hunting. Bishop c2 with the idea of going d4. Castle king is a safe king. So I castle, d4, c captures d4, c captures d4, and now I go knight b4, hitting the bishop. I want the bishop pair, and white will have to do something fantastic to be able to keep this bishop. Make sure bishop b3, a5. Ace 3 is an idea to try and hold on to the bishop. But he plays knight c3, the best move in the position. I take the bishop. Now the bishop pairs mine. Queen captures. Bishop d7, developing my pieces. What happened in the first round is not happening in this round. I'm getting all pieces developed, and then we'll go into a middle game. He responds d5, and here I wasn't sure what to do. Do I capture? The engine wants me to capture. It's saying E captures D5, E captures D5, B5 is what the engine wants. I didn't want to capture. I remember a game I had where I captured on the F file, going that way, and I opened a light square bishop. So I guess since white doesn't have a light square bishop, it's okay to capture. But I played rook c8 instead. Now he goes queen b3, piling up pressure on this diagonal that my king is on. I go queen c7, developing my queen. Bishop e3, hitting my a6 pawn. And I move the pawn up. That's the a7 pawn. I move the pawn up. Now here I'm thinking he got ideas of knight here, here. With the bishop coming in that way, he has these type of ideas going on. Since I played a6, I created weaknesses in my position. But instead, he go rook ac1, lining up the rook to my queen. And I drop the queen back to b8, getting out of the line of fire. And from b8, the queen protects the b7 pawn. Now he goes knight g5. So he's got tricks coming up here on this e6 square. Where he's trying to hit it like he take, I take, he can take again, and he wins a pawn. So I just play e5, closing that down. I wasn't sure if it was right, but the engine says it's the right move in the position. And now he faded the knight back to f3. I thought that was like real unusual. You're moving the knight twice. You're doing a one-move threat. Maybe he wants to go to e1 and then come f4 since he provoked e5. So here I go b5, and my idea is just to get some room on the queen side. I don't want to get cramped. Knight d2, and I'm thinking f4 is an idea. So I go knight h5 to stop f4. And now he goes knight e2, saying he wants to do f4. And I go f5. The engine jumped. It does not like f5. The engine wants rook capture c1, rook capture c1, and h6. This is what the engine wants. But I'm just giving up the c file. Why would I do that? So I went F5, trying to go F4 and get some momentum going on the king side. And he goes F4 to stop me. And I take the rook. The engine didn't like that. It wanted me to capture the pawn. E captures F4 to keep the advantage. He takes the rook. And I take here. And my idea was just to hit the bishop and force the bishop to move back. Or if the bishop takes, I take with my knight. He take with his knight. I take the pawn and just cracking it open. And here he goes F captures E3. And his idea is, I'm going to take the bishop. And he wants me to take this pawn. He's going to move this knight out the way. He goes knight F3. And he wants me to take this pawn. And once he does, this pawn moves up. The queen is threatening, checking the king. And this pawn is here. So he gets to take the bishop and get the piece back. So that's his idea. But this is not checkers. I don't have to take this pawn. So I just went king H8 and sidestep. I'm not sure if that's the best move. No, the engine wants bishop E8. Bishop E8. That way if he go here, that's beautiful. Bishop E8. And once he I can take that pawn. And if he steps up, the bishop hits the queen and he can't take this. That's nice. That's a nasty move. But I went king H8. He goes E6, hitting the bishop. I go bishop E8 now. Queen captures on E3. And now I go F4, hitting the queen. The queen fades back to D2. And now I go queen A7 check. He goes king H2. And now I go queen E3. And my idea is, I'm up a piece. Let's swap pieces now. I want to trade off everything and go into an endgame up a piece. And here he played rook C7, and I just neglected what his idea is. He wants to capture the bishop. I figured I'd just move the bishop back. I was debating between moving the bishop to D8 and trading queens. I didn't even have to trade queens just yet, but trading queens would have been good. Just queen captures D2, knight captures D2, bishop F6, and I'm perfectly fine. So I could have did this, knight did this, bishop F6, he wants to go here. I just go here, rook F7, rook C8, and the rook guards the bishop here, preventing the back rank mate. And he's going to try and bring his knight in, and in that time I can move my king to G7 to G8 to F7. The king will walk this way, like that. So that's what the engine wanted. But I missed it. I went bishop D8, hitting the rook, and he comes with a nasty tactic. E7. E7, y'all. He's hitting the rook. If the pawn takes this rook and queen, it ain't got a queen. It could promote to a rook, and it's checkmate. So I can't allow that. The bishop is getting hit also. My queen is here, so he gets his piece back because I got to take the pawn. He takes back with the queen. Now my bishop's no longer protected by the queen. I take that back, and he takes that. Rook captures E7. So now he got his piece back. I went from up a piece to even Steven. I couldn't believe I just snoozed that tactic like that. I just went in cruise control and didn't keep it going. Pawns is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm up a pawn, but this pawn's going to fall. So I go bishop F7 because there's no way I can protect this pawn. I just want to chop a pawn myself and just try and stay up at least a pawn and go into a endgame up a pawn. He goes rook captures E3. Bishop captures D5. Rook back to E7. Rook E7? That was just wrong. I think that was completely wrong. The rook should have went to maybe D3, hitting the bishop and the pawn. That way if I take that pawn, he can take this pawn. But from rook E7, he's trying to cut off my king, but I don't really see that happen. I'm not buying it. So Stockfish wants h6 here, creating luff and stopping the knight from coming in. But me, we all know what I do. I'm a pawn grabber. Bishop captures a2, and I lose all advantage that I have. The engine wanted h6, knight on e to d4, knight f6, and just solidify my position. And here I have a slight advantage. But I went bishop captures a2, taking the pawn, because after all, a pawn is a pawn. And now you go knight on e to d4. And I see what he's trying to do. His threat is b3. And then this knight comes in here and my bishop's trapped. So hold on. So he went knight on e to d4. I went h6, making luff for my king so I don't get checkmated. And now he goes b3. He's setting up the trap to trap my bishop. I go knight f4. And my whole idea of knight f4 is stopping knight e3, so he can't pick up this pawn. And here he goes g3. That's a blunder. g3 hitting the knight is wrong. Stockfish wanted rook a7 going after the pawns this way. So g3 was completely wrong. And now I go knight g6 hitting the rook. The engine didn't like that. It wanted me to hit the rook from d5. That's hard to see. The d5 square. Then if he land up on this pawn, and I'm just giving it away? I don't understand that. So he goes rook e1, and that's the final blunder in the position. Once again, he should have went rook a7, going after the pawns on the queen side and trying to create a passed pawn on the queen side. And I go here, knight e5. The engine gives me a question mark because it didn't want knight e5. What it wanted was bishop captures b3. And if knight captures back, rook captures this knight. And I'm just up 3 pawns. That's nasty. That's a nasty tactic right there. But I didn't see that. I went knight e5 instead. And my idea is to get a knight, trade knights and get a pawn. Because I'm threatened. I take this knight, you take back, I take your knight with my rook. And go up a piece. So he take the knight. I take back with the pawn. He takes this pawn here. And now I go rook f2 check. An excellent move. I'm cutting the king off, forcing him that way, and I want to put my rook behind this knight. And I'm stopping any ideas of his rook coming here, pinning me in. King g1, rook d2, hitting that knight. Asking that knight, where is it going to go, buddy? And now he comes in here to g7. His idea is to drop the rook down. So you're going to drop the rook down and go after this pawn? You just going to give me this pawn? That gives me 2 connected passed pawns. That's just a huge mistake. The engine has me up 4.53 in this position, completely winning. Bishop captures b3. Rook e7 going for the pawn. Bishop c2 hitting the knight. I'm not going to let you take it with the rook. If you take with the rook, I take your knight. So that's what I'm trying to do, just swap pieces. And I got 2 connected passed pawns that I can run for glory with. Knight captures g7, and I just go b4. Pawns are meant to be pushed, and that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing p on the queen side. Knight e6, b3. Pushing p. Rook b7, trying to stop the pawn. And now I go rook d5, and my idea is to cut the knight off. I don't want the knight to jump over here to c5, and it's not going to d5. I'm just strangling the knight circulation. And now you go rook b8 check. I step up. Rook b7 check. And he's wanting me to step right here so he can get a fork. That's not going to happen. I go king g8. Rook b8 check again. I'm maneuvering my king. I'm just going to crisscross on over to this rook. And so the checks are stopped. Knight c7 hitting the rook. And now I go rook d1 check. I just want my rook completely away from my king. There will be no knight forks picking up my rook. King f2, a5. Now I'm pushing the next pawn. I got 2 connected. I'm going to push them. Knight a6. A4, I'm pushing P. Rook B7, check. King F6, I'm getting out the way. I'm not going to let the knight come closer with checks. None of that's happening. Rook BC, check. Rook B6, check. King E5, I'm stepping up. Hey, I will run my king all the way to this corner and push this pawn in, if he lets me. I have no problem running my king up the board. Knight C5, A3, I'm pushing. You take this, I take this, you take this, then it's A7, and you can't stop the pawn. Knight captures B3, that's exactly what happens. Bishop captures B3, Rook captures B3, A2, and at this point, Chandler resigned because A1 queen is inevitable. There's no way to stop it. You can check me 1,000 times, I'm going to run up on that rook. So I felt like this was a good way to recover. I paid attention. I developed all my pieces before I went hunting for pawns or trying to go for some attacks. There's a couple of points in the game where I could have improved and played better moves. And once again, the middle game is something that I am working on and I need to keep working on. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends and family about it. And let's grow the channel. Have a nice day. Bye.